Most builders right now, they are positioned in the wrong level of the AI stack. No slightly wrong. I mean, building in a layer where the value is already captured or is going to be captured by company with much more resources where you cannot compete with. This week, Jensen Huang and Demis Hassabis, independently in 2 different interviews, both said where the actual opportunity is right now. And most people, they're not gonna hear it. So let's fix that.
In the last several months, what happened is the industry took the Claude code, Anthropic's Claude code came out, and it was the first agentic system that was able to do really productive work like software coding. And software coding is a good first place to go, but remember what coding is. Coding is the codification of something you want to automate. And how many companies in the world, how many people in the world don't want to codify into a program something you want to automate over and over and over again? So it turns out coding is important for software engineers, but coding is super important for all companies. And this all happened in the last several months. AI in the last several months became useful. That's the big idea. The second big idea is that in order for AI to go through understanding, reasoning, planning, using tools to take action, the amount of computation necessary compared to generative AI is like 1,000 times more.
That's Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, the company supplying the chips that every major AI model are running on the planet. And he just says something that most people don't pay enough attention to it. AI is becoming really useful in the last couple of months. Not theoretically useful, actually useful right now for every company on the planet, on any industry. But here's the thing. AI is useful, it's not the opportunity, it's the starting point. The opportunity, the one that both Demis and Jensen are pointing to, is about what's coming next, and specifically in which layer of the stack you have to build right now. Demis Hassabis this week, he gave specific warning for anyone building right now. And I think is one of the most useful thing in both of the interviews. By the end of this video, I want to show you exactly what they both said and why. If you are still asking if AI is a threat, you're already asking the wrong thing. Subscribe if you're new. Let's go.
You have to have an active system that can actively solve problems for you to get to AGI. That was always clear to us. So agents are that path. And I think we're just getting going. Continual learning, long-term reasoning, some aspects of memory, these are still unsolved. And how to get the systems to be more consistent across the board. I think all of these are going to be required for AGI. Now, it might be that the existing techniques can just scale up to that with some innovation and some incremental innovation, but it could be that there's still 1 or 2 big ideas left that need to be cracked. Depending on what your AGI timeline is, mine's like 2030 or something like this, then if you start off on a deep tech journey today, usually that you're talking about a 10-year journey for true deep tech, in my opinion. So then now you have to just consider AGI appearing in the middle of that journey. So what does that mean? It's not bad necessarily, but you have to take that into account.
2030, 4 years. Demis Hassabis is putting a specific date on AGI, and he is not being reckless. He is the man who built AlphaFold. He is really calibrated about this thing. He's building one of the biggest AI model on the planet. But here's the line that actually means for builders right now. He is not saying that it's scary. He is saying, if you start something today, AGI doesn't arrive at the end of the journey, it's arrived halfway through as a variable, not as a catastrophe, a variable that we have to plan for it, and you have to plan for it. So here is the question, what do you build so that AGI, when it's showing up a year 3, what you are building became more valuable and not obsolete? Jensen has a specific answer to that, and it contradicts almost everything you have seen about AI right now. If you find this useful, hit the like button.
AI is not just an application. AI actually reinvented the computer industry. AI invented a whole new industry. And for many of you in the audience, you're working with us at the energy level, of course, at the chip level, at the infrastructure level, land, power, and shell, cloud services, neo cloud, so on and so forth. Then it's the model layer. Most of the time we're talking about models, but the fact of the matter is without this underlying part, there is no models that's useful. And then most importantly is the application layer. The application layer in healthcare, in transportation, retail, you name financial services, all these different industries are not going to get revolutionized by artificial intelligence. And so when you break it up from that perspective, when you just kind of reason about it, it is very certain now that like the internet, which is everywhere, you're going to have computers computing like NVIDIA's GPUs literally everywhere, so that every time you use the computer, it can generate the proper response to you.
And that's the answer. It's been hidden between the lines. The model layer, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google DeepMind, the infrastructure layer, NVIDIA, the hyperscalers. Those are trillion-dollar games played by companies with trillions-dollar compute power and budget. But the application layer, every industry, every company, every expensive problem that AI can now actually help solve is still wide open. Jensen Huang, the man physically building the hardware that runs AI, and is looking at every industry and is saying that layer is the most important part, not the model layers everyone is talking about. The application layer, most content is ignoring right now. But here's what Demis has answered that Jensen didn't, which I think is the most useful thing for anyone building right now that in both interviews has come out.
What used to take months for a researcher to explore a new idea, they can now use AI to help them do that research in a day. What used to be months is now a day. And you get the same, scientists is really a discovery process, exploration, pushing the frontiers of human knowledge. And so scientists, whether it's in energy science, in climate science, of course in biology and all the places in healthcare and drug discovery, the physical sciences, the breakthroughs are incredible.
I think we're close. We're working on these general systems we have this system called Co-Scientist, and we have other algorithms like AlphaVolve that can go a little bit beyond what the basic Gemini will do. And obviously all the frontier labs are experimenting in this way. I've yet to see anything so far, and we all tinker with the same things, some math problems that are a little bit harder than IMO and so on. I haven't seen anything yet that is a true, genuine, massive discovery. That's my personal opinion. I think it's coming. I think it may be related to this thing we discussed about creativity and actually going on beyond the bounds of what's known. So clearly that's just not pattern matching at that point, because there is no pattern to match to, and it's a bit more than extrapolation. It's some kind of analogical reasoning, and I don't think these systems have that, or at least we're not using them in the right way to do that. So the way I often say that in science is, can it come up with a hypothesis that's really interesting, not just solve one?
And that's the honest answer. AI can compress months of research in a single day. AlphaFold solved a 50 years biology problem, and this is real. But it can't come up yet with the next 50 years questions, the hypothesis, the creative leap. Demis call it the Einstein test. Train a system on 900 knowledge, see if independently come up with the solution that Einstein did 5 years later. We are not there yet. And here why the gap matter specifically for people building right now. The space between AI compresses research by 99% and AI generate the truly novel hypothesis. That's where human with real domain expertise, real customer knowledge, and real industry context is where the opportunity is still incredible. And that's the application layer, and that's your windows. And Demis give a specific answer to find out which window to choose.
Actually, you work out that going after hard problems and deep problems is no more difficult in some ways than going after a shallower, simpler, more superficial problem. They're just differently difficult. There's different things that are hard about each of those things. But I think given life's very short and you only have so much time and energy, you might as well put your life force into something that will really make a difference if you hadn't done it, if you hadn't been there to push it. So I would just think of it through that lens. So one thing I can see happening is Gemini, Claude, or one of these general systems making use of AlphaFold like specialized systems as tools. I don't think we're going to have it just in one giant brain, because it will have too much regression. If I put all the proteins into Gemini, that wouldn't make sense. We don't need Gemini to do protein folding. Going back to your information efficiency, it would definitely affect its language skills or something like that, right? In a bad way. So much better, I think, is to have really good general purpose tool usage models that will then, maybe they could even train those specific tools, but they would be in a separate system. So I think that's kind of interesting to think through the implications of that and then what you might build today. Also physical things too, like what kinds of factories would you build, what sorts of finance systems and so on. So I just think you need to really take that seriously in on the one hand is like, and imagine what that world would look like, and then build something that would be useful if that comes in halfway through.
Demis said, imagine what the world would look like, and then build something thinking about that's useful when AGI come true, halfway through the journey. And Jensen said, whatever ambition you have right now, increase it by 100 times, not 10. 100. Neither of them are telling you to build a model. Neither of them are telling you to become a researcher or a chief designer. They are both pointing at the same layer. Find the expensive, deep, and complicated, difficult problem in your industry. The problem that really costs people time and money, or a real pain, and build the real application layer solution that AI now make it possible for the first time. Most people watching AI content right now, they're asking if it's a threat or not. The builder who are gonna win are the one they are building right now, and then they are looking for the right window. And right now, not in 5 years when it's really obvious. Drop a comment, which industry or problem are you solving right now? And is AI your tailwind? See you to the next one.